All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Tennis Channel Inside In, available on all your podcast platforms. You can always find Inside In by just searching Tennis Channel Inside In, whether it's Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. For more exciting content from Tennis Channel here in the Tennis Channel studios, my name is Mitch Michals. We are into the first couple days of Roland Garros 2024. Back again. I bring him on for the big tournaments and the big events and all the chaos of a major. It's Barstool Sports' Eric Hubbs. Hubbs, man, this is a pleasure. And a lot to discuss, a lot of things we have to get to. But it does feel like this is gearing up for that special time of the year when anything can happen.
Yeah, I got to be saying some things right because you keep having me on for the big moments. So off we go. I'm excited for anytime I get the DM from you. I'm pumped. These are some of the best times of the year, especially with the French Open, where for me, I just love having stuff to watch at work. It's like on my phone on the side while I'm writing a blog or editing or whatever. It's just nice to pass the time. Then before I know it, 6 o'clock happens, I go home. So although sometimes lately I feel like in this tournament things are going even later than that. So I love it. I love late night tennis. The fans and the players do not in attendance, but I do. So the rain has been chaotic, but I appreciate it because it adds to the chaos.
I also feel like every time I talk to you, it's almost like you're the tennis Pied Piper, like you're just converting new people in your life at work to tennis fans. And it's not easy. Everyone listening to this show understands why. Once you get a taste of it, it's like you're hooked.
I try, man. It's nice when you're promoting something that someone's gonna like. Like
Yeah.
you just whether from a gambling perspective or just excitement, pick the right atmosphere, and you're like, especially if you're picking like let's say we'll talk about a Monfils. You get into the thick of like a crazy 4-5 setter with Monfils, and the crowd is going bananas for him. Like, yeah, who's not gonna like that? So it's easy to pitch something that is going to be very exciting.
So we had a lot to talk about. We planned this out. It's always a little hard to have rundowns when the majors are in progress. Had a plan, had to swap out what we start with. Iga Swiatek, Naomi Osaka played a banger as you listen to this. On Thursday, it was yesterday's match of the day with a lot of rain and a lot of pretty much all the outer court matches that did not finish. But Iga and Naomi put on a classic in the second round. A lot of people saying deservedly of a final. Naomi Osaka, Hubbs, is ranked outside the top 100, but you wouldn't know it by the way she played today. Had every bit of chance to win that match. Storms through the second set, up 5-2 in the third. A couple match points. Can't get the job done. Iga battles back. Keeps that goal of a three-peat and a fourth overall Roland Garros title alive. This match had it all. It was incredible. It showed Iga showed everyone why she is the champion that she is. You feel terrible for Naomi that she lost this match, man, but at the end of the day, it was a classic and reminded everyone just how good she was.
There's so many angles to talk about this kind of match. From the start, Iga's minus 2,500. Like, you see that, and I obviously respect Osaka, but we don't know when she's going to, like, get back, from the pregnancy and this being away from the game for so long. It takes a lot of people some time. Some people never get back to that level. So you see minus 2,500, and I'm like, all right, how many games is Osaka going to win? It's not how many sets, it's how many games. Is Iga just going to embarrass her 6-0, whatever, we get in the breadstick, whatever. And then she just fights from the start. And you're like, but then Iga takes the tiebreak. And you're like, okay, there goes the emotional, all the emotions gone there. You just, all for nothing. Here comes Iga to destroy in the second. It was the opposite. Osaka just kept it going. And it was almost like Iga took her feet off the gas. Osaka was blitzing her the whole second set, jumping on second serves, using that power. When you think about it, Osaka's game, at least pre, her stepping away, is a bad matchup for Iga on the surface. Osaka's main thing is obviously hard court, faster services, no doubt. But if there's something that troubles Iga, it's someone who could take advantage of that second serve with power. Come back at you with the power, and she, that's why Sabalenka will get her here and there. You're like Niemeyer, the German girl, I believe.
Gave her a match, yeah.
When you got that oomph to you, when you can give her power back off of those second serves, you can pretty much attack her. And then, obviously you have to hold your own with your serve too, because Iga's the best returner there is in, men or women, maybe ever. Osaka put it all together today. The way she fought in that third set to go up 3-0 and then 5-2, it's just unfortunate that she choked it away. But I think it leads. It gives you two things. One, it was vintage. Like, I think we've talked in the past how, if Djokovic is down 2-0 and even a break in the third, there's always that chance he's going to come back. And,
Mhm.
same with Nadal, same with Fed, and the same with Iga. As long as there's any type of point left in that, it's not over. You're not shaking hands in the net. You can't counter out, especially Roland Garros. Like, that's her bread and butter. That's her home. So she was actually born on the clay at Roland Garros. So it truly shows you that no matter if you have, it all in the bag and the live odds don't look your way, it don't matter when it's Iga. And the other side of it is I think this is Osaka's announcement to the world that she's back and that you better look the out for her at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, there is a lot to kind of get into with this. One being that Naomi on clay has never really put it together. And I see what you're saying in terms of you see the ingredients there. For whatever reason, it hadn't happened, hadn't been out of the third round in Roland Garros before. This was a huge announcement that when she's back to her old thumping ways on both sides, she loves pace. The return is a good point by you, especially on that deuce court side. She was taking 2 steps inside the baseline and just handling everything Iga had, which, to be fair, is the criticism we've had. The only criticism of Iga has been that serve. It looks weird. It's not conventional. She's tweaked it a lot. I was very impressed with Iga's ability to, at a C-level game, as you said, in the mold of the big three, find a way to win, find a way to get to the net with your arm raised. The fact that in the past she hasn't been the best at adjusting, because plan A works so well against 95% of the competition, if not more. But she found a way to adjust it. She mixed in some high balls. She got to the net. She looked like a passenger in a lot of ways early in the match, as many would when Naomi won, I think, 9 out of 10 games, but found a way to just hang in the fight. Naomi did, unfortunately, in that serve game, spray a lot of balls, get tight, but you got to give credit to Iga because these are the matches. You're only beating one player each day. So just find a way to do it, craft it, junk ball it, whatever it is. And Iga with another Houdini act. So, I mean, this might actually help her, Hubbs, going forward, that she survived the test and might be playing with a little bit of house money now.
I was going to ask you, do you think she's tested like this ever again the rest of the tournament?
Well, we'll get to a little bit later, but I do think that if Danielle Collins gets there,
that would be it. Yep.
And then because she owns Coco in the past. I mean, Coco would need to make some tactical adjustments. I don't know if that's well enough. But then if you're talking final, I got to say, if it's Rybakina instead of Sabalenka, now I don't know that they'll both get to the semis. They very well could. But if Rybakina, who hasn't been healthy, gets to the final, she's been pretty good against her head-to-head. So
she kind of has that formula as well, though. Big serve is going to trouble Iga, and then obviously can hit you back with power off of that return. That's the mold. That's the formula to even give yourself a chance in these types of matches. But yeah, if Osaka can turn into a little rivalry with Iga right now, like move forward, that's a lot of fun because not to say like Iga isn't challenged because Sabalenka gives her hell, no problem. And honestly, Niemeyer, for whatever reason, gives her, she out of nowhere, like and for like 3 tournaments straight, I feel like she was finding her in like the second round or the first round. But
there's things out there, yeah,
there are. But if Osaka can join the consistent crowd of like, Osaka Iga popcorn match, like that would be very good for women's tennis.
Like she's outside the top 100. We all think that just feels absurd, doesn't feel right, and it takes time to make these comebacks. Obviously the pregnancy and getting yourself back in shape and honing your skills. But we saw exactly why, and how she handles this loss. That's the other thing. How she is able to process a tough loss and keep going forward. Because when we get to the hard courts, you're not going to be able to find 7 or 8 players better than Naomi Osaka.
No, for sure not. I did see her quotes afterwards. I thought were pretty good. She. We know what Osaka had been in the past, and I had strongly suggested she take time away. I didn't necessarily say go have a kid, but she did that, and that was the time away, and I think it did so much for her mentally, and she seems like she's in a really good place. And she did say it herself, like, this is her court, but like let's and I feel proud how I played here. Let's see her come onto my court. Like I that's a little like.
Yeah.
There's something to that. There's like, there's a good belief. She knows how good she is in New York and all that. So that will create, if she can stay healthy, I think that will create and maybe rise up the rankings a little bit here. So she gets in a little bit of favorable draw in the U.S. Open. But that is something that I'm circling right now is like these two facing off in Queens. That would be cool.
It would be very cool to see how it progresses. What a match there. We're going to come back to the women in a second, Hubs, but on the men's side. And before we get to Nadal Zverev, I just had that marked down. It does kind of feel like an interesting time in men's tennis. Like we talked about it before, we've kind of anticipated, maybe some of us have wanted this moment. But I'm looking at a major where it is more wide open, especially on clay, to say the least. But you've got 6, 7 guys, maybe more, that could ultimately go the distance. Feels like a seminal moment, a transition of power, a changing of the guard in men's tennis.
It's nice. For a little bit, like, there was one guy who could win it all, so it's nice to actually, like, have reason to watch. Like, I'm going to watch everything, but it's nice, the quarters mean something now. Like, that wasn't the case for a while ago.
The
So,
draw means something,
right,
too.
the
That's
draw
the other
means
thing.
something. And, getting not that, Nadal Zverev should be a first round matchup, but, like, hey, that was cool. Like, that's to see that kind of talent out there. That's fun. It is what the sport needs. There was always the big question of, once these big three step away, can the sport survive? I think it can. And there's a lot of talent out there, and it's rising right now. And like you said, man, and maybe it is just more of the French Open than anything, because there doesn't appear to be a superior guy on the surface at the moment. Carlos is more of it should be Carlos, and in a few years it will be Carlos. But right now, there's some question marks with the arm and the amount of matches he's got under him that you kind of saw today. He looked just out of sorts, fatigued. I don't know what it was, but he's not a runaway favorite right now. I think he's in the 200s right now listed. There were times where Rafael Nadal would start the tournament minus 150, 200, like that, and it would be like, what are we watching this for? Casper Ruud in the final gets him. He has no chance. So, but right now, yeah, Carlos, Sinner, Novak, Zverev. Honestly, I wouldn't put Tsitsipas on there personally, but sure, Tsitsipas. I don't think he can win a Grand Slam. Casper Ruud, he's been to slams before. He's won the slam finals, multiple. Even Rublev, I wouldn't like. It would be a crazier one. But like I like the way he's been playing, and it probably dips from there. But all those guys you
Right.
could see winning, and that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, and even some on the fringe where maybe winning would be crazy, but semifinals, finals, you're looking at a really deep tier of player.
Yeah.
I want to just push back at one thing, because I was thinking this today. In a one match, we can get polarizing, and there's still 2 matches on the grounds playing. I'm starting to see a scenario where maybe, because I do agree with you, Carlos suits up well for this surface. I think Sinner's going to have something to say, and I'm not sure that Carlos or Sinner are going to be winning more titles than the other on clay. But Sinner is firmly in the all-court game. I mean, we talked when he was starting to kind of finish the year strong last year. But now he's clearly, if he's not better than Carlos's level right now, he's right in the mix there. So I think that's going to be a battle for years, maybe decades to come, even on the clay.
That's fair, and that's very good for the sport that there will be that ongoing battle. And yeah, all those guys can, and we didn't expect Carlos to go win Wimbledon last year. Never mind, like I don't expect him to get in the quarters, with his game. But the fact that he, progressed to that point, yeah, Carlos has had a very rocky year, no doubt. And Sinner has, been a way more steady, consistent case of just being rock solid. As long as that hip is fine, that gives me Andy Murray worries. Anytime someone has a hip, I don't think his team would be pushing him to play right now if it was an issue. So I do trust them and believe that it's in a good spot. Stuff always worries me because, Andy's hip was a disaster. It took many, many surgeries to even get him back to even playing shape. So don't want that. We definitely want Sinner and Carlos going at it. And I do agree with you that, like, yeah, it's not going to necessarily be a cakewalk for Carlos on clay in a few years, because that's how good Sinner is. And I love that.
Yeah, Alcaraz's match today, and I know playing Jesper De Jong, who isn't the highest level, has been playing really well, though, getting through the Jack Draper match and getting to this match, a French guy here. Alcaraz didn't look like his normal self, and people are going to speculate, and there's no way to know, but it could be arm related, it could be rust related. The energy was a little more concerning to me, Hubs, than the actual forehand that was spraying, because I do think he has the ability to play himself into this and go all the way. But I was a little concerned with the energy dips from a guy who just oozes energy when he's rolling.
Could be a couple things, right? It could be he didn't play in the last month at all. So, like, I think it's maybe minimal amount of matches. And the further he goes in this tournament, he starts to turn it on. And it could be that like there is something more to this arm than we want it to be. And I was hoping at least that the injury would prevent him from playing that YOLO type tennis where he's just hitting rockets every single time, and it would force him to almost be more conservative, and that would actually lead to a better Carlos, because we know once he gets out of this like little younger stage and he plays smarter, he'll be ridiculous because of how talented he is and quick and how many he can hit every shot and all that. But now it's like, okay, maybe he does need the power, because I don't like what I'm seeing at the moment, and I'm concerning in that level today. It almost felt like De Jong, if De Jong doesn't get gas there in the fourth, what is happening in that fifth set? Because he was playing, the level was even until basically he just completely zapped in the fourth set, and then Carlos was like, okay, thank God we can move on here. But that was scary. And there's Zverev lurking for him.
Yeah,
I don't love that for him. Even like a Korda, if I'm remembering his draw correctly, is kind of
that,
in that.
that third,
Yeah,
it would be
so
third round for him.
I don't hate how Sebi's been playing. And I'm willing him to get back, since his injury to that level hasn't really gone, but maybe so far so good. It's only been one round. I'm worried about Carlos, and I just want him to win this tournament so badly. It's crazy. He's won two. It's scary for the rest of the tour that he's won other tournaments than this one, because this is his
Mhm.
best service. But yeah, it hasn't, for whatever reason, it hasn't come together. I just hope the arm is okay, and it was just match fatigue. Let's just hope for that.
That's a good point. There's just been a unconvincing and a discerning amount of dips in some of his big matches that we've seen. Whether it's Medvedev U.S. Open or Zverev Aussie, where he hadn't started properly. The match with Djokovic in Cincinnati, where he had a little dip in the middle of that classic. So you just like to see him be a little more consistent, bring that four up a little bit, but still, like I said, can very much play himself into this one. As with Sinner, which I think that match is about to go final. He's like a game away as we record this with Gasquet, but he kind of, and that's another one too. Like we can playing a French player at Roland Garros, not the easiest challenge dealing with the crowd. I think it's fair to say.
Poor Diego Schwartzman trying to qualify, and he goes up and he plays Halls, and this is his swan song, and he's just trying to win a match. Nope,
Yeah,
crowd 100% the other guy. See you later, Diego. You made
yeah.
some good moments on clay. Don't matter. Poor guy. It's just so mean. And like, yeah, and you face a guy like Gale, that's a nightmare. Like, you're just battling so many different things. And the French crowd is probably the rowdiest, I'd say, and they don't really abide by the rules of like
Yeah, you said that
etiquette.
Iga played today. That
Yeah,
Iga
honestly,
won him,
like,
which yeah, I don't know that I would have done that post match. I get where she's coming from though, because you can't have a fan yell out during a lob like the point's still in play
I
at
mean,
5-all third
yeah.
set.
Oh, I get what she's saying, and
Yeah.
you could tell she almost regretted it after she said it. She goes, I know, like, that might anger you guys more, but like,
Yeah.
she's so polite. She's trying to say the right thing, but also, like, I get being pissed off. Like, in the Kotov Vavrenka tiebreaker today, mid set point, fan yells out, like, while the ball's sailing, like, in over the net, and Stan
We
shanks
had
it, and ugh,
we had
brutal.
Sinner almost just drill a ball kid earlier a little bit ago in that Gasquet match where a ball was still in. The crowd yells like it's out, like roars, and a ball kid comes across as Sinner's about to hit a sitting forehand, and he hit it. So like he could have you spray that thing, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
That said, though, I will say, and we don't dish out free picks on here, but Monfils plays Musetti tomorrow, and it's a Chatrier late night match, and Musetti has got a history of being very talented, but maybe not handling some of these high pressure moments as well. So I
That
could
could
see
be
that.
fun.
Could,
That
could
could
be
be
fun.
fun. I'll say this though. I think I don't know. I find myself sometimes against French players in gambling, and I just regret it. Like one game, and I'm like, why did I get myself into this?
Mm.
I'm gonna try and tell future Eric to not do that with Mazzetti. I'm gonna try to do that. We'll
You
see.
know who handled the French crowd though? Ben Shelton. Because, like he said, is that a compliment or is that a diss? What would you say it is comparing Roland Garros crowd to the SEC?
I think I don't know. Hey, he's battle tested. Like this
Yeah,
is that if there's one way, because I know that's an ongoing thing, right? Like, should you play college tennis? if there's one real way, it's like, dude, it suits you up for like these European wars, basically, that you're gonna have where you're just going against the crowd. Ben loves that. Like it's similar to, I think we've talked about in previous shows, how it's so dumb when the crowd gets on Novak because it only fuels him. Ben's starting to do a little bit of that. Like if the crowd turns on you, like he goes to another level. Like he's like, oh, I'm gonna shut all these people up right now. Whereas if you're quiet, he can't really like the energy
Yeah.
level, testosterone doesn't like shoot up. But man, if yeah, those types of environments, Ben thrives in, and that is really cool to watch from an American perspective. Like that we have a guy who just like lives for those kind of moments. Because I feel like in the past we haven't.
Yeah. The match before he lost to Manarino in Australia, he was playing the Aussie O'Connell, and I felt the exact same way you did. He was kind of like, "Come on, crowd, get on me! Like I need to feel this," and he was kind of playing sluggish, and then he woke him up. So yeah,
Dude, right before I hopped on here because Kotov's playing, so I went back and watched was it Rome that they played? That match is so funny, and it made me not like Kotov because I think his fist bump is so corny and weird. But Ben like countering back at him when he won and just living off that crowd and I forget exactly what happened, but the crowd turned on Kotov and they were like cheering, and Ben's taking his rack and be like, get louder, get louder, get louder. Like I eat that up. So Ben is perfect for this kind of stuff, and I hope it makes a good run.
More with Barstool Hubbs here on Tennis Channel Insight, and we're talking Roland Garros 2024 into the second round, and a lot more drama to discuss. But have to talk about Nadal Zverev first round match. Not the draw that any of us hoped for if you wanted to see more Rafa, but he loses to an in-form Alexander Zverev in straight sets. Not a lopsided match by any stretch, and Hubbs not really a match that Rafa played bad. So I think, athletes, especially legendary ones, are at this crossroads of when is it time to say goodbye. The tournament he's owned, literally and figuratively, only losing 4 times, 112-4 in that tournament. But it was a valiant performance. It was a gutsy performance by an aging athlete trying to stave off Father Time, who, as we know, is undefeated. But what were your thoughts watching that match and seeing Rafa do what is a lot of ways unthinkable, lose at Roland Garros?
Thought he played really well. All things considered, those level was really good. The second set, obviously should have won the second set. And then from there, it's 1-1. Who knows if the crowd gets to Zverev a little bit from there. Lose the second set, kind of zaps the energy. But his level, man, was good. He should be happy where, I think, all things considered, because we didn't even know if he could string matches together. Like, he played in a lot of tournaments back to back that I didn't expect, like, leading up to this. Like, he truly was trying to push his body to get here, so I respect that. Tough draw. And I thought Zverev handled the match really well. And he was even really nice on the mic to whoever was interviewing him, and be like, this ain't me. Like, don't talk to me. Why are you asking me questions? So, but yeah, no, I don't know. So the whole thing where Rafa won't say if this is it or not. And I don't want to tell Rafa when to go away, because a legend should be able to do whatever he wants to do. Andy Murray said something very similar, I'm pretty sure, where he's just like, yeah, okay, I've lost, I'm losing matches in the first round. Don't tell me when to stop. I'm just gonna keep going. I like this. So, I think Rafa would love, in a perfect world, to have a healthy year, and then he's doing this one more time with a better seed and feeling better of himself, and he goes out his way. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is probably it. It did kind of sound like a farewell in his address to the crowd. Probably is. I think he really just wants to get through the Olympics, and then he probably says goodbye there. But I was happy that he showed up and played the way he did.
Yeah, I mean, whether the comeback is far enough along, he ran into one of the players we think can absolutely win this tournament. So starting there, and Zverev played a great match, very, very smart tactically. Was coming to net, which he's not known for, but was mixing that in. So this could be the best version, point being, of Alexander Zverev, who we'll touch on in a second. But for Nadal and for legends, that's a great point you make. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do this. And some players say, I'm not top 10 anymore. That's it. There's nothing that doesn't tarnish their legacy. That's just it. Rafa might want to decide. And again, athletes change their minds on things too. And depending on how you're feeling, he might think, look, I can still compete, even if I'm not seeded, even if I'm not in the top 20 or 30. It's still about competing, and I feel great. The thing that we know, though, Hubbs, is the mileage on him. And we know that nothing does essentially last forever. So if this was the goodbye, it was not a bad one by any stretch. He played a heck of a match against one of the best players in the world. And seeing all those players there watching matches. I mean, Djokovic said he never watched the match since he was a pro other than like Davis Cup ties. So it just shows you Alcaraz, Djokovic, Iga, the respect this guy commands.
There's that still of Carlos, and he looks terrible. He's like, it's like, I think it's during the tiebreak in the second set. He literally looks like he's watching a horror movie. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, I don't want him to lose. This is my idol. This is my god. So I don't know what was going on. Yeah, Iga there too. I didn't expect that. I don't know why I didn't expect that. It makes sense now that I'm thinking about it. Like, obviously they'd show up, but seeing them in the crowd all in that box here, I was like, oh, wow. And how about the presidential suite finally filling up? That was cool. French Open.
I think, that's a huge thing. Murray, Stan are playing. Murray's last RG. Stan, we'll see. But, like, there's no one there because reserve tickets and, not something that needs. And that's a bigger issue than sports, than just Roland Garros. But the reserved rich people seats, I'll say, not being used. I get that they have first come, first serve for that, right? But come on. Like, these are legends. Like, let's fill the stadium.
Common sense, people. One time, if it's upper deck or whatever, sweet, I don't care. But if it's in the lower bowl, we got to fill the lower bowl. That's such a bad look. Come on.
So we'll end. We will just end on Rafa with just the two things. Those were the first times he lost back-to-back clay matches in his career.
That's insane.
And 63 clay titles, 49 clay court losses in his career.
What's between all that and 112-4? I don't know what's crazier.
112-4 still, like, this is a major. This is a tournament that is everyone gunning for, and you've lost in the tournament 4 times in your career. I mean, wow. But hey, look, Zverev, on the other hand, the odds dropped drastically. I think we kind of saw this. I mean, this was a guy, Hubbs, who we were keeping tabs on this. He was close to 17-1 before Monte Carlo, before the real clay court season started. So the odds have been plummeting. Now he's under 5-1. And I think in an open year, and you could put other guys in that generation into it, like Tsitsipas, but Alcaraz and Sinner have questions, Djokovic too, aging questions. If not now, when would be my question for Zverev? This is his time in a lot of ways.
It's taken him. When was that injury? 2022 was the
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So 2 years, and it was a brutal injury, and so many he tore every ligament. He's back to maybe a level above and in that match, if you go back to that match, that could have easily went his way. Like, that was all the making. Realistically, Rafa holds on because he was still in Rafa mode there, but that had all the makings of an all-time match, and sadly ends in the second set. So yeah, the way Zverev's playing, the speed, I think his speed gets so slept on sometimes, and how quick he can get to the ball. Like, you drop shot him, he gets there. And the power he hits, the serve. When his serve can be so deflating to go against. Like, Carlos, if I remember correctly, faced him in like a 4th round match or something like that at Roland Garros a couple of years ago. And his serve was just so on, there was nothing Carlos could do about it. So if he's got everything working, and that draw now is very easy. Nadal was like his toughest one for about 4 until like the quarters, if I remember correctly. Yeah. He's absolutely. I would put him. He's my pick. He would be my pick. He's my pick to win. I know we're getting into that, but there's not many people in their current forms that I like more than him at the moment. And he's got a lot going on too. It's like, there's so many stories. Man, if he wins this whole thing, it'll be something else. I'll say that.
It will be. It will be. Yeah, you look at kind of pitfalls in there. Holger's looked better, but he's had consistency issues. He's someone that isn't going to be afraid out there. Medvedev on clay, not the surest bet. But I do like how we have villains and we have people like he's openly has some contempt for the French fans. I think that's fair to say.
Oh my God, the Medvedev versus the French is the best. I saw a tweet because he came. It was cold. It's cold at night when they do these matches, and he came out in all the leggings or whatever. He eventually took them off, but he came out in the leggings. Someone was like, he hates this tournament so much he doesn't want any of the clay touching his skin, and I just died laughing. He's the best, man. I say it. I think maybe every time I come on, but if tennis was bigger in America, and he was, and it was in the top 4 of sports, he would be one of the more popular like athletes there are. Like, he is that funny. He is such a troll, and he's also really, really good. I'm happy he's improving on clay because he used to like lose literally in the first round. So I'm happy he's doing something.
Were you watching that Indian Wells match against Holger when they got into it and he just hiked his shorts up to mock him? It's tough to beat. Really, it's really tough to beat that. That's for troll of the year. That's yeah. He's in the leader in the clubhouse.
He's special, man. He is special.
Nice to have those characters too. It's like when I see him or even Bublik play, these are players that it's good to have variety. And that's kind of what we like. And as we, segueing onto like the American tennis players and the update there, having guys like Shelton, Tiafoe, Tommy Paul doing well. You got some different styles. I know Bublik and Medvedev aren't for everyone, but it's nice to just have some variety with how people play and who they are.
If Bublik isn't for you, get another sport. Bublik is the best. Come on, man. His personality is number one. He has the quote out there where he goes, "If I'm going to lose, I'm going to entertain." Like, I love that. And when, Clay isn't his best thing, although his level, same with Medvedev, I feel like, has gone up with Clay. But, he's more fitted for the grass and hard courts. I love to see him do well. It just means more interviews with him. If you're not for Bublik, like, I don't know, he's like Kyrgios light to me, right? Like, he's not going to, have tirades, and I love Kyrgios, but like, he's not gonna have the tirades, but you're gonna get the personality, you're gonna get the different kind of style, the mixing it up. He might have 6 underhand serves in a game, which was crazy. Bublik is something else.
Well, on the American front, big one tomorrow for Tiafoe, who needed a win as we record this. We think it's going to be tomorrow. We'll see what the schedule actually lines up to be. Tiafoe Shapovalov, who is in this tournament on a protected ranking. Tiafoe a slight underdog in that one. Interested to see how that plays out, Hubbs, as well. You got Fritz going, Tommy Paul back in the mix. Great to see after the semifinal in Rome. Shelton, Korda. Also, these guys are competing for those 4 spots in the Olympics, so it's a little jam for the final tournament to get those top 4. So thoughts on where we are as the Americans head into this tournament?
Yeah, I think Ben is going to have some bad luck with the rain because Nishikori is going to have time to rest because he was in a war himself and probably gassed at it. And he played well, like in that 5th set, but he was going to be gassed realistically if they played that when they should have. Now he gets an extra day and maybe even 2 if they don't get this game in. That's going to be tight. That is not that. Kay is going to put a lot of balls in play, and Ben, that's not the best, formula for him sometimes, the unforced errors and all that. I thought Tommy looked awesome. I thought Tommy, with the ankle injury that he suffered in America, or I think it was America, and he had the time off. Luckily, it wasn't too bad, but he looks fresh. He's running around like crazy. And, he has the best fitness, I think, of anyone in the whole sport. I think he can run with the best of them. And he already has the boys French Open under his belt. So how about the men's? That would be unbelievable, obviously. But no, I like how Tommy looks. I think he's gonna smoke Fognini, and hopefully a little deep run from Tommy. Fritz has had one of the more confusing, shocking clay court seasons. I don't think, did anyone expect this? Like, what is the Clayler?
I
crazy.
wouldn't say I expected it, but in the land of chaos, Hubbs, where we've had all this uncertainty with players injured or skipping events or whatever, not the most surprising thing that a guy who just plays and loves to compete can go on this run. And also, what happened last year is still in the back of my mind, his reaction with the French crowd. So this could be another interesting run for him too, depending on how the draw and how the matches shake out.
I agree. Let's see. He could potentially. This would be something. He gets through Dusan, and let's say the winner of Kokonaka Seppieri, potentially Rinderknech in the. That would be.
Oh, now you're looking at I think 4th round Casper Ruud.
It could be, but I'm just saying there's potentially a Frenchman waiting there.
Yeah, that happens. Oh yeah.
Like that's
actually. And we were talking about going against French players, and Ruud's played better and has gotten himself into the mix. But I do think he's kind of adjusted on hard court. Maybe is that at the expense of clay? I'm not really sure. Live dog, like all those French players might be live dogs if they get into rounds 3, 4, and beyond.
Yeah, 100%. And then you mentioned Tiafoe. I just think I was shocked that he got through that match. I think that was a tricky one for him. I don't see him going far here. But for him, it's just U.S. Open or bust, I feel like, at this point in his career, which kind of stinks. I don't know really what his level is. these days. Like besides that, I can't really trust him anywhere else. And then Korda, we mentioned him already. Would be fun to see him put it together. He's got still some things to iron out serve wise. I think even like closing mentality is always gonna be an issue with him. But defensively, that's not a guy I want to face on clay. He can get to every ball on the surface. So definitely a troubling guy to see. Korda is not a guy I would want to go against. He's beatable for sure, but that's not straightforward whatsoever.
Certainly isn't. And then, Rublev, Tsitsipas could match up to get to that Alcaraz section. Tsitsipas has an Alcaraz problem, but again, if not now, when? This is a chance for him to maybe step up. Last thing on the men, though, before we switch over to the women. Djokovic's level early on, do you read anything into that? I mean, I know we've always said don't discount him, but this has been his most unsuccessful year by a wide margin. So where do we at after his first round win?
Thought he'd look worse, if I'm going to be honest with you. Now he's playing Herbert, so I'm not going to you can't put too much into it. But it was a fairly straightforward match, I thought, for the most part. And I thought maybe there'd be a little bit of trouble, just because he's looked like physically a train wreck. He fired half his team. So many question marks. But the thing is with him, it's a very easy draw for him. So like you look down here, and maybe Tommy is the guy. I don't know. But he ain't losing it'll be a fun atmosphere if it's Monfils after, in the third round here, but I don't see him losing there. Tommy could be interesting here. Just a little bit of a circle the little draw there. That could be someone who gasses Novak out, just withstand him, and then keep it going. Obviously, they played in the semis of the Aussie, but you beat Novak there. But maybe here with this physical situation here, maybe. But I'll say this: if he looks like he did against in the first round, I'd be worried about everyone else.
The only positive sign to take is that he actually showed some emotion. A lot of times I did feel like he was going through the motions, this clay court swing.
It took some time, though. It took some time for it to blow up, and then it did, and it was like, oh, the match is over. Okay, got it. No problem.
Yeah. Hopefully he can keep, for his sake, he can keep the emotion going there. And Tommy Paul, I thought, as you did, when he won that match against Casper Ruud Indian Wells, that felt like a seismic moment in his career landscape, a big top 10 win. So hopefully he keeps it going. He just has to
avoid Cerundolo, and we're okay. Cerundolo, I think, is like his bad man pajama.
That's like a top 5 play forehand easily with what Cerundolo does. Yeah, he's up and down. We're going to keep it going here on Tennis Channel Inside In, Barstool Hubbs, talking Roland Garros 2024, the women's side. We led at the top of the episode with Iga and Naomi, that barn burner. So maybe it doesn't. I'll ask you that question. Do we still, after this match, view it as it's Iga versus the field, or do you think maybe that gets some doubt creeping in?
Funny enough, I like to look at the odds. When Iga was down, Osaka was serving for the match at 5-4, and it was 30-15 Osaka. Iga was still plus 600 to win the tournament. That's wild. That's respect. So I don't know what it currently is, but yes, this is Iga's tournament. She had to get through what she got through. It will be better for it. There's, if someone beats her, then someone but man, if you're picking anyone else, that's not a fun time.
So the other side of the draw, though, I mean, do you size this up as chalk, or do you see, because I think Sabalenka had an interesting year. I mean, obviously there's the personal stuff off the court as well, but she's proven that on any surface she's great, and she's proven in the last 2 years that she can get to deep into majors better than anyone, Iga included. Mm-hmm. You look at her, you look at Rybakina. Oddly enough, though, Hubbs, I think Sabalenka has the hardest mini section of the draw, because I do think Madison Keys, Emma Navarro, names like that could give her trouble, but again, it's been hard to bet against Sabalenka to at least make the quarterfinals or semis of any major.
Keys blitzing Collins was the last week was a little eye opening, and she's found a new level that I didn't think was there. Good for her. I struggle to rely on her in big matches, if that makes you want to say the Collins match is big, sure, but this at slams. I feel like if there's just a mentality mismatch if she plays Sabalenka enough to not trust her. And Azarenka, though, veteran, but realistically, no. I don't know. I think Sabalenka.
Her next matches, though. Azarenka's got one coming up.
And Deriva. That would be
Yeah.
that'll be fun. I like Andreeva in that one. But and honestly, maybe Andreeva's the person to give Sabalenka trouble. But yeah, I tend to lean chalk unless that is a boring answer. But I'm just looking. I'm scrolling and looking at names, and no one to me is standing out as someone like Paula Bedoza ain't gonna trouble her at this current state of her game. I don't find anyone here. No, so I think it's chalk.
I would just say if Navarro can get by keys, beat her at Indian Wells, could be someone that, at least on the power side, can make things interesting. For the other sections, though, and also I got to give a shout out too because she just keeps going. Peyton Stearns, another impressive win. The American that just has that dog in her day in, day out, battles through. So shout out to her. But
just a gamer.
Yeah, I mean,
gamer, just ultimate gamer.
Ultimate gamer, someone that I think would do very well in a road environment as well. Whether Qinwen Zhang, who beat Cornet, could come through and make another run, the Australian Open finalist. Now, she's someone that I'm circling for a potential run as well. And we were talking about, because that's the Rybakina side, and I think Rybakina is great. I think she can beat anyone in tennis, but she has had health issues. She has had durability issues. Not exactly happy with the media right now.
Yeah, she hates questions now. That's another another enemy of hers is boring questions.
Yeah, so I think chalk is usually a good bet to go, but I've seen enough of these women's majors that usually one section kind of just goes a little rogue.
Yeah.
That's kind of that would be.
You know who looked good? Kenin has looked good. I'm not picking her to get far, but nice little, she was one a long time of struggling, and to dispatch Garcia, eye-opening to me. Not something I'm not putting too much into it, but a little eye-opening.
Do you think that champion DNA is, we saw with Naomi a little bit too, someone like Kenin, major champ, someone like Bianca Andreescu returns, big underdog, wins her first match. Is there something to be said about the players that are just proven winners in the past maybe being able to pull out these tight matches?
I love Andreescu. I'm happy she played well. No, I do. I do think it's something you can channel, man. If you're in a rut, like Osaka right there, like, and when she's playing, she goes, I've won, several slam champion. Like, yeah, I'm an underdog, but like I'm just, I can do this. Like it's a belief in you, man. You just channel that back. And Kenin, it's a little while, since she's, but all it takes is like kind of 1 point and just snap out of it, and then look at Iga today. All it takes is one little point. Oh, okay. Like you see a little bit on the other side, someone's a little nervous out there, they're feeling it a bit, and then all of a sudden it just all changes. So yeah, I think that definitely plays. If it doesn't, that's crazy.
Do you think there would be a single calm moment in the match if it was Kenin versus Ostapenko next round? Which it's lining up to be if Ostapenko wins.
That woman is... not enough people know about Ostapenko and her outfit choices and how she doesn't believe in any sort of line system or judging whatsoever. No scoring system has ever appeased her. And now I don't even know what she prefers. With like ruling in or out. And her stats are always hilarious to look at, the unforced errors to winners. It's just all in her racket. But yeah, a Kenin versus her, I would just love almost like a little mini box in the corner of just their facial expressions at all times. And it's a split screen.
Yeah,
those two are a lot.
We got a lot of elements. Papa Kenin will be there. It'll be a fun time at Roland Garros. Well, Hubbs, it's been a blast. I guess we can wrap up with just a few quick hitters. One, we got to say, this is the final year for Danielle Collins, so Cinderella can just keep rolling on. Got to say, I love transparency for athletes. The interview she gave on her set, where they asked her why she played last week. She's like, "I got bills to pay." Perfect.
I forgot what the quote she said to Prakash maybe a couple weeks ago, or Weissman, but it was like, like, I'm always bothered, or stay bothered, or something like that. It's just the way I play. Like I'm going to be fiery out there. I actually went and saw her and my fiance out in San Diego last year, and it's a very small event. It's a 500, but it's small, and we were able to sit like last minute tickets, like front row, right in front of her. My fiance had obviously never seen Danielle Collins play, and she was like, "This is crazy what's going on here. I think she ended up losing the match to Krejcikova.
Okay.
But it was a spectacle to watch her. Danielle is a lot of yelling. But no, there was even an article. I don't know if it's circled the waves yet, but I was reading today just the reasoning she's stepping away, and it says like she's genuinely bothered when people are like, keep playing. Like she says, no, like I want to have a kid. Like this is my life. Like it's great that I'm playing well, and she's leaving it all out there. I think that is. I think it's all shaping up for a very fun U.S. Open run for her, where the entire crowd is behind her and just willing her to try and get a slam before she's all said and done. But yeah, I'm Collins is. It's been a special 2024 for sure.
And it's not a sympathy run either. It's a real contender the way she's playing, which is great.
Yeah.
And I've said it before. I mean, she's got a good reputation, how she treats people and how she deals with people off the court. On the court, it's your job. You have a persona out there, you do what you have to do to win. That's the name of the game. Covering other sports. Like that's what the goal is. Win the match.
I am never going to fault people for showing emotion. I actually don't like when you don't show emotion. Like I want you to let that like the opposite, like our Rybakina, like I'm not going to fault her. She's just, she's won a slam, but like I want you to show I want you to show that you care and you have fire and you play with the crowd. Like that's why I love Kyrgios so much. And people are like, oh, he yells at his box. It's his mechanism, man, and it gets him going, and it's his way of letting stuff out. You're the only person out there. You don't have timeouts where you can just talk to your coach. Well, I guess now you can talk to your coach, but like, I'm all about that fire and emotion. If you criticize people for that, that's so lame. Like, you got to dump in your pants. Like, let people show their emotion. Come on.
Well, I do agree. I think emotion is good, and it's been a blast here talking Roland Garros with you, Barstool Hubbs. Last thing, quick hitters are who wins each tournament, and then the bonus is farthest male American. Who is it?
Oh, okay. So I am picking Zverev at the moment. I think his game is just in a perfect spot. Not to say I want him to win, but I just think there's a lot going in his favor at the moment, especially with the draw. On the other side, I think Iga getting by today will do her wonders, and I don't see her having a repeat. She didn't even play that bad. That's the thing. Osaka was just that good. Maybe the second set, Iga kind of, but her level's still fine. There's no injuries or whatever. So on this surface, if you pick against her, you're behind the eight ball to start. Deepest male run. Let's look at the draw real quick. I'm not going to say Tiafoe. Ben is interesting. Let's see Ben. So Ben is going to Nishikori, though, is going to be tough. And then you get by, and then you get Felix. Felix Ben is a fun match.
It is.
But then you've got that's a little tight. I think Tommy's going to beat Djokovic. Okay. And
there it is.
I think Tommy's going to beat Djokovic. I think he's it's going to be one guy going one way and the other, the different direction. I don't love Novak's fitness right now. I think Tommy's going to beat Djokovic, and then, man, wouldn't it be fun if we get Fritz versus Tommy, like, super down the road? That would be crazy. It's possible. I'm going to say right now, Tommy.
Okay.
Give me a Tommy semifinals.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Wow, that would add to the list of players that can conceivably go all the way. So I'd love to see that for TP. Hubbs, this was a blast, man. We'll have to do this again, probably around London time, around the grass court season. So we'll have to check back in and see how our takes were then. But always a pleasure. Make sure you check out all of his stuff on Barstool Sports. Some tremendous content there during this New York sports renaissance now.
Absolutely.
You were down in the dumps last time, and now it's like you kind of all. I know the Knicks didn't end well, but the Yankees are buzzing. The Rangers are still in it. So how the tides have turned for you.
It's a fun time. Yeah, it's a fun time. Hopefully the Yankees keep going. Yeah, at Barstool Hubbs, you want to see my stupid tweets about the Yankees and tennis.
Appreciate you coming on the show, man. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. See you soon.